Good morning, everyone. You are all very welcome to this morning's webinar in partnership with Google Digital Garage and Dunleary Rathdown Chamber. With many elements of the economy reopening over the coming weeks, County Wexford Chamber and Dunleary Rathdown Chamber are hoping to upskill as many people as possible to combat the effects of the pandemic. County Wexford Chamber and Dunleary Rathdown Chamber are working with Google Digital Garage to deliver this 5-part webinar series. These 5 expert-led webinars will cover a range of topics that are vital to a business online. We will cover topics including optimize your ad campaigns with advanced strategies, smart creatives, reach the right customer with the right message, digital marketing strategy, expert workshop, scale your brand and advertise across borders, and social media strategy. These webinars will help our members to best position their business online as the economy continues to reopen. I hope you can take something from this morning's workshop and join us for the future webinars in the coming weeks. Without further ado, I will now pass you over to this morning's trainer, and I hope you all enjoy this morning's session. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Welcome to this very special Google Digital Garage training session, today we're going to be talking all about digital marketing strategy. And as you've already heard, we're in collaboration. Gosh, that's a hard word for a Wednesday morning. Collaboration with Wexford Chamber and also with Dunleary Rathdown Chamber. Okay, so my name's Christine. I will pronounce a little bit better as we go through. I do hope so. So I'm one of the trainers here for Google's free skills training program, the Google Digital Garage. I'm a marketeer by trade, and I've been involved in marketing, well, since before digital was a thing, really. So I have worked with big businesses, with small businesses, and with charities, and with lots of entrepreneurs getting themselves, making the best of them, their businesses in the digital marketing world. Alongside me today, I have one of our extremely experienced Google Digital Garage coaches in Glenn. Now, Glenn's job today, well, he's going to be the moderator. He is in the chat right now. Some of you might have already met him. He is going to be answering questions. He'll be providing you with some useful links. And he will basically just be keeping everything running really nicely together. You can tell you're speaking to the moderator. First up, he's called Glenn. Secondly, he's got a little blue spanner next to his name that shows pretty much that he's the one in charge. Little bit of housekeeping for you. Any trouble viewing the webinar, best thing to do is just try refreshing your page. Turn it off and turn it back on again seems to sort most of the issues people have. If you want to join in that instant chat, and I really hope you do, then you need to be signed into your YouTube account. If you don't have one yet, you can very easily set one up by clicking up in the box on the right there, which is also where you go to sign in if you're not signed in at the moment. Sign up, sign in, get yourself back and get yourself into that chat. Because what we're going to do is we love questions. Questions will help us to craft and shape this session, so it really does give you the most benefit possible. What I will do is I will pause throughout the session. So Glenn will be answering questions as we go. He will also every so often send me some of those questions he thinks will be really interesting for the whole group to hear. And we'll get to as many of those together as we can through the session. So if you do feel free, as I say, to get those questions and comments in as we go through. Now, we are running more Google Digital Garage webinars in different subjects. So if you want to check out the schedule, please see the information on that, which is in the description below. And don't forget that you can continue with this series next week. I think, 6th of October. So, no, gosh, it's October next week. That is next week. I keep thinking, October's miles away. So next week, we have our 3rd webinar in the series, which will be the export workshop, all about scaling your brand and advertising across borders. So that's a really interesting workshop that you might want to get involved in as well. If you've got any feedback from today's session, please complete the feedback form, which is also linked down in the description box. When you complete that, a link will appear so you can actually download today's content, and you can also rewatch today's training. Whew, that's a lot of housekeeping. Let's take a look what we're going to be looking at today. So what we're going to take a look at today is we're going to think quite a high-level view about digital and what digital means for businesses in the online world. So we're going to take a look at understanding of that. Then we're going to do a bit of a dive into some of the main digital marketing channels. This is where Glenn really comes into his own, trying to force me not to go into the detail at this point. We're going to try and skip along the top as much as we can, because today isn't going to be all about you. At the end of it, I'll expect you to have a finished product in all of these digital channels. What I want you to do is learn enough. So in the final section, when we come to building a digital marketing plan, you'll know enough so you know which of those channels you want to pick and choose to put in your plan. We're going to cover an awful lot at quite high pace today. What I don't want you to do is think that you have to be able to do every single one of these. It's all about selecting the right ones for you, selecting the right ones for your business. And we're going to talk about how you'll go through and do that. But let's take a step back first. Let's take a little step back, a little step up, and have a look at digital marketing. What's going on in the world of digital marketing? And the first thing to think about is, well, why? Why might you want to be online? Why might you want to get involved in digital marketing? You can pop. If you have a good idea, you might well have a good idea of what you want to do online already. If you have that, pop that in the chat and let Glenn know. So opportunities wise, I guess the opportunities are kind of endless. We want to get our businesses known about. We want to get them seen. We want to maybe sell things, get people to know about us. We might want to get known locally. We might want to get known beyond our own borders. And digital gives you the chance to connect with the world. There are tons of opportunities out there, but I do think it's worth just taking that moment and having a little think about what benefits you're looking to get. Just because you could do all kinds of things, what are the real key things that are going to help you and help your business to take those next steps? With everything I do with Google Digital Garage, the key for me is we're not trying to get to perfect. What I want for you today is to have 1, 2, maybe 3 things you can do to move your business on. And if we just keep moving our businesses on, then we're going to get where we need to be that wee bit quicker. So we live in a mobile world. There again, you don't need me telling you that. You probably, most of us nowadays, carry around one of these things all the time. I mean, if we were, I've had races where people, and how quickly can people get to their, fast draw, get to their mobile phones. Mobile has changed the way humans behave. Mobile has changed how we interact. Mobile has changed how we live our lives. In Ireland, 65% of people buy things online. Okay. We've never been more connected, never been more, available. There are 3.8 billion smartphones in use across the globe today. And Ireland is actually the 42nd largest market for e-commerce in the world. It had a revenue of $3 billion in 2020. We're talking huge potential, a huge audience out there to connect with. So the 65% of people is bought at least one product online. But what I think is really interesting, we're going to take a look at a few different factors. Things driving change. We've got mobile really strongly driving change, and it's changing behaviours. Obviously, we've also got the effects of the last 18 months. And, behaviours have changed in response to those 18 months, but they've also, I think some of those behaviours are going to stick around. People have found how easy it is, how convenient it is, how comfortable it is to communicate with people in this manner. And right now, we'll think a lot about mobile as we go through, because mobile traffic accounts now for over half of the global web traffic, because it's just so easy. If I'm out and about, I can take out my phone and find out anything. So reasons a lot of businesses say for being online is that they want to reach new customers. They want to reach more people. One of my absolutely favorite tools is showing on the screen at the moment. And this shows a great tool called Google Trends. And that can help you compare the number of Google searches for your products and services, for the words that people search for to find a business or a product or a service like yours. You can look at it here in Ireland, or you can look at it across the world, different territories at different times. The great thing about, I mean, I don't know if this might be, if you're watching me today on a mobile, this might be titchy tiny on your screen, but the search we have and showing of how people search, think about your behavior. You think of something, you want something, you search for something. Here we have the search here is cut your own hair. When did people cut your own hair? In Ireland, over the last 12 months, we can basically track the course of lockdowns by when people were looking that they had to cut their own hair, because it shows human behavior. We can see the human behavior in the data. So we can get out, we can reach people, we can learn about what's going on in the world, what people are really liking. It's a bit like truth serum. We ask our search engines what we're thinking about. So if we start looking at that, you can actually start to reach the world. And another way you can learn about your customers, that digital marketing has opened this whole world of data up to businesses. Sometimes they get a little bit scared because there's so much they could look at. How on earth are you meant to pick out what you should look at? But this is a tool. If you have a website, then the tool on screen at the moment is fantastic. It's called Google Analytics. And it basically, if you have a website, Google Analytics tells you about every click, where people come from, what they do on your website, where they go, where they leave. So you can learn all about the people, what they're liking, what they're doing. There are also, wherever you are on the internet, I will talk quite a bit about data as we go through, because if you're on social media, you can get some data to help you. You can learn about your customers. And the more you can build up this knowledge bank of, if I do something, what's the effect of that? You can start to see, who likes your posts? When do they like your posts? When are they engaging with you? You can really start to get a feel for what they like and do more of what they like, do more of what works and do less of what doesn't. Our moderator, Glenn, will share a link to Google Analytics. If you don't have it already, absolutely fantastic. But do check out, stay in touch with Google Digital Garage, because we do have webinars and resources around getting help with getting started with data as well. So the other thing you can do, and lots of people use the internet, we use digital to communicate with people. So businesses, I expect nowadays that if I have an issue, I can reach out to a company and I want to get a response. If I have a good experience, I can share it with the world. We communicate through social media apps, we communicate through reviews, we communicate through direct messages with companies. People expect to be able to reach us. That's kind of how our behavior has changed. We expect to be able to be reachable, and we expect a good, quick response. So as a business, we need to flip that around and think, okay, if this is what the world is thinking, this is what our local people are expecting, how are we going to make sure that as a business, we're living up to those expectations? So communication is the absolute key, I guess. I mean, it's the key to business anyway. And what digital allows you are lots of lovely ways that you can communicate, both you out to your customers and your customers in to you. Okay, whistle stop tour as to why you might want to. As I say, do tell Glenn if there's any reasons that you particularly want to be online. And we'll see if we can, help you with some pointers as to being able to do that. So we know the benefits. Of course, knowing the benefits and reaping the benefits is going to take a little bit of work. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to explore some of the different channels. The channels are our routes to our customers. Okay, I'm going to explore some of the main ones. I'm going to try and give you, as I say, a high-level overview of these. And then in the last section, I'm going to show you how you'll pick and choose some of them to craft into your plan. Now, the interesting thing about the digital marketing channels is different channels work for different people at different times and for different purposes. Okay, so I really don't want you to think you have to do every single one of these. I'm going to try and highlight as we go through the kinds of circumstances where different channels will be right. Don't forget, take your notes, jot anything down, but you can rewatch this video. So you will be able to go back, and if you get to the end and think, that's what I needed, you can rewind to the right places and rewatch that section. Okay. So when we're thinking about the channels, okay, these are different ways, and I'm going to take you through each of one of these in turn. First thing we're going to consider is search. So we've got two areas of search to look at today: search engine optimization, which is optimizing your website, and then search engine marketing, which is advertising through search to get clicks through to your website. Going to take a little bit of a look at social media and marketing on social media. We'll take a whistle-stop tour. Obviously, that's hours of learning again in itself, but this is to give you an idea of where to start. We'll take a look at display marketing. Now, when we do this, lots of people say they've never heard of display marketing, but by the end of this, you won't be able to say that anymore. You will have seen it, you just might not have realized that was what was going on. And I think a lot of businesses don't realize just how accessible display might be for them. We'll look at my old favorite. Email marketing is pretty much where I started out, database and email marketing all those years ago. And it is still a really strong channel for some businesses. And it's about being the right business in the right circumstances. And then we'll take a look at content, because I always think that the hardest thing about being online is thinking up things to say. And that's what your content strategy is all about. All right. So let's get started, and we'll take a little bit of a look at search. So search is about using the power. Search engine marketing is about using the power of search to reach customers. Okay. So let's break it down. You've probably seen one of these before. All right. But how often have you actually thought about it? This is our search engine results page. Okay. And search engine results pages are ever so clever because they adapt and they change based on what it is you're searching for. So, for instance, we always start our search pretty much. I always think of search, we start with a question. So our search query up here at the top, here we've got, it might be very small, but it says best compact camera for travel. Okay. And if I've got the best compact camera for travel, what does that suggest my intent is? So the first thing it says my intent might be, well, it might be that I'm looking to buy a camera. So I get some relevant ads. So ads here, we've got some shopping ads. You can tell they're ads because they say sponsored, and we've also got some search ads. If it didn't think I was looking for something to buy, I wouldn't get the shopping ads, I'd get some other results. If it looked like I was looking for somewhere to go, if I'd put best coffee in Dún Laoghaire, you can let Glenn know which is the best coffee in Dún Laoghaire if you want, guys. If I were looking for the best coffee in Dún Laoghaire, then it would probably show me a map. All right. So search adapts, search changes depending on the question asked. And the main thing about search is you have to be a good answer to the question. Okay, so you have to be, no matter what else you do, you're looking for being a good answer to the question. Because down here at the bottom, so in the blue, we have the paid results. And then underneath, we have the organic or the natural search listings. Okay, so search engine optimization is getting yourself found in those organic listings. The organic listings are the ones that you don't pay for. All right, doesn't mean they're free. I dislike the word free when it comes to anything for marketing, because when we put our marketing plan together, a good plan will be spending a lot of time considering the resources that we need, which have a cost, the skills you need, which have a cost, the time you need, which has a cost. Okay. So it's all about balancing it. And then some things in your plan will have an actual cost to them as well. But quite often that cost will reduce the time you need to spend, for example. So it's that kind of business balancing that the marketing planning is all about. So search engine optimization is about making your website appear in those organic or those natural search results. Okay. And search engine optimization, you'll hear called SEO for start. Now, tons has been written, videos made, lots of content out there. In short, getting your website found means being a really good answer to the questions that are being asked and telling the search engine all about you, making sure that you are easy to find. Now, the tool that helps you to do that is fantastic. It's at no charge, and it's called Google Search Console. And what Google Search Console does is it does various tasks. First thing it will do is you can run a report. It will take a look at you to make those improvements. It will tell you what to do. Okay, so if there are any issues in your website, if there are any errors in your website, if there's anything that's confusing, it will help you to identify that. You can also submit a sitemap, which will help the Google bots, which if you come to any of our sessions on that go in more in depth into search, if you decide any of these areas, if you decide they're the area you want to do, then there are resources available to help you go deeper into them. So you'll put in a sitemap which tells the little Google robots that go around indexing the internet who you are and where to find things. You make it easier to be found. And then you make your titles and your descriptions, you make it so that it's easy to understand what's on your website. Okay. But for that to work, there's no point doing all of that great optimization kind of technical search console stuff if you're not a good answer to the questions. So you also need to work out, well, which questions are being asked to find a business or a service like mine. And that's our keyword research. So do some research into the types of questions that people would ask. How would your business be described? What would they look for? You know, that idea of best coffee in Dunleary might be the sorts of things people look for. Coffee near me, best coffee in Dunleary, where to buy coffee. Lots of, first thing to do is work out what the people are looking for, and then create content that is interesting to those people. Okay, hardest part of it, we'll talk about content in a little while, but you need to publish useful content, high quality content. We think beyond just words, think of the pictures and things as well. And then you do all that work to make that content findable, making your web pages search friendly. Seems super easy. I've given you 2 slides, a 5-minute overview. There's lots and lots that goes into it. But if you keep in mind being useful and being honest and being authentic, they're the absolute key pillars to being found through search. When I would want to be found in search is, first up, if I'm doing a search engine optimization strategy, I need to have a website to direct people to. Okay, so that's the first instance it might be a good strategy for me. It's also a really good strategy. The beauty of search is that we ask a question, we find our answers, and we take an action. So it's really good for if I'm selling something online, and I want to drive traffic to my website so people can buy it, or people can sign up, or people can get some information ready to take an action. There's a real immediacy. I think something, I search for it, I get it, I take that action. Okay. So if that's what we're ready for when we have a website, search engine optimizing might be a really good thing to do. If somebody comes up to you and says, I can guarantee you to get you on the first, run a mile. Okay. Don't try to speed up the process. Don't try sneaky techniques. People once said, if you stuff the words, the keywords onto your page on white text in white, they don't work. And even if they give you a short-term bump, they won't work long-term. The tools, the tricks, the tips, the best websites work by being really good, honest answers to the questions that people are asking. But we've mentioned when we were thinking about it, you can go out and reach the world. But also really importantly, for a lot of business, even more so nowadays than previous to the last 18 months of craziness, is being able to reach people locally. Okay, so a vital area of search is actually to be found when people search for local businesses. Coffee in Wexford. Okay, that's a local business that I'm looking to find. I've told you where I am and I want to go and get that coffee. Plumbing or accountancy, all those smaller enterprises that have a real local focus. So a huge number of searches every single day. Most of the searches I make, I reckon, are probably local in nature. All right. So if you have customers that you can engage with in person, whether you bring them to you or whether you go out to meet them locally, I would 100% consider creating listings in local online directories. You don't have to always be thinking global. Think about the people around the corner from you. Google business profiles are amazing. One of the very first tools I would ever recommend to somebody who had a business that served a local community is a Google business profile. And what that does is you create the profile and it helps you to appear in Google search and in Google Maps. And we would really think of that as local search engine optimization. You don't even have to have a website to have a really good presence in the search engine results if you use the Google business profile to get you found. Also, customers might use, think about what your customers might use. Customers might use TripAdvisor, customers might use Yelp. If there's a place people would go to find your kind of business, then that might be a great place to have a listing as well. Okay. If you've got a business, list it on as many relevant platforms as you can manage. Definitely consider local SEO in there. Okay. So when you've got your business profile, the more description you can put into it, the better. The more information with the Google business profile, you're telling the world's biggest search engine directly about your business, and it's going to boost you in that when people are looking for you locally. Okay, so make sure your address is right if you're bringing people to your premises. Make sure you've got some great images. People love a photograph. We learn so much from photographs. You might want to add in opening times, closing times. People can leave reviews there. So respond to them. Get involved in that communication. As I say, a really good way to have quite an advanced online presence without having to be able to code or do anything. It's a really user-friendly tool, the Google Business Profile. So absolutely 100%. That might be one of the things that's worth getting involved in. So that's what the things we've talked about so far are local search and search engine optimization. They're both where you do the work and then you get found. With search engine marketing is where we're basically looking at running ads in search. So search engine optimization, there's a cost to it because it takes your time and resources, but there's no actually charge, which is a perfect benefit. You optimize the words, you decide the kinds of things you want to be found for, and then do some work to get yourself found. But it can take you quite a while to rank on that page. Search engine marketing, you pay for the listings. More specifically, you pay if somebody clicks on your listing and comes through. So it's basically you're paying for leads. It's a PPC or a pay per click model. Okay, your ad served 10 times, but it's only clicked on once. You only pay once. You bid for the keywords. So you choose the words you want to be found for. You choose the questions that people are asking that you think you're a great answer to. Okay. You can get onto and off that first page really flexibly, really quickly. So it might be if I had a restaurant and we were quiet on Tuesday nights, I might run ads on Tuesdays to get people in. I might decide not to run them on a Saturday when we're super busy. Because remember, search is all about that immediacy as well. Okay. So if I wanted to get involved in search engine marketing, the tool we're going to look at is Google Ads. Okay, so it's the Google Ad platform, and there's no charge to have an account. You can go in and take a look. You basically want to start up a search campaign. You choose the words you want to be found for. I would always have a narrow campaign focus, so don't try and sell all of your products with one ad. Think about how you can group those ads to have a really good focused ad, because the best ad is one that feels utterly seamless for me to click on. Okay. Focusing on user benefits, thinking about, what your customer would want to click on, and write that into your ad. There again, there's lots of advice out there about it, but the platform you want to be looking at is Google Ads. And the campaign type in this instance is a search campaign. We will look at some other kinds of campaign in just a little while. If you want to get involved in search engine marketing, my top tip actually is do some learning with search engine optimization first, and then boost it with the ads. Because, you will learn things if you're measuring about the words people are using. You'll learn things about what people like when they get to your website. Make sure that you're following the journey from the ad or from the click all the way through to the basket or to what. It doesn't have to be a sales focus. You might use Google Ads when you're trying to get people to request a quote, for example, because you've got a longer sales cycle. But if you get the more quotes you get in, the more opportunity you have to get good quotes out, the more business you can take in. Okay. Ad extensions are fantastic. Ad extensions, basically, they help you to improve your click-through rate by making your ads bigger and offering more services and offering more information. The more information you can give those potential customers, the better in all circumstances, really. And do, as I say, connect that analytics account so you can say, right, the clicks happen here. This is what people are doing. Once they get to the website, this is what they do. And this is how the actions that they take. Okay. So let's have a little think about display. Now, display marketing is one of these areas that people they're not necessarily familiar with as a concept. But display ads, it's a really, I find them actually fascinating. Display is putting your message in front of people who are on other people's websites, basically. So it's advertising on other people's websites, okay? Which means that you can reach potential customers before they know about you, before they're looking for you, all right? Which means that you can go higher up in that sales funnel and raise awareness before people are even ready, which then hopefully when they're ready to buy, they search, they'll spot you and they'll already be familiar with you. Okay. So display ads, as I say, people don't really know the term display ads until I show them the picture and they go, oh, that's what those are called. We maybe used to think of them as banner ads, but a banner ad, I think, was this thing along the top. Whereas with display ads, there are so many different formats that display can take. Simple text ads that look like search ads to really beautiful graphic ads. Basically, you might, want to place, you might work out that, for instance, your particular customers are working on, they're getting their information from something like the Tech Radar blog. Okay. And if they're on that blog or whatever it is, could be that you're working in the fishing industry, so people are reading a Fisherman's Weekly magazine, or you can see the kinds of publications that the kind of people that you're trying to reach will be interested in. So you can advertise around their content. Okay, it's a really good, effective way. The more you know about your customers, the better display will be. Okay, lots and lots of different shapes and sizes of banner ads. Each website will have its own sizes and specifications and placements, and you can learn all about those by going back into the Google Ad platform. Okay, so you can log into Google Ads with your Google account. If you've not got one, you can create one, and then you start a campaign. This time, instead of a search campaign, because it's the very same tool, you're going to be using a display campaign. All right, then you can. There's a great tool called the Display Planner. The Display Planner helps you to choose your placements. So you don't have to do all the research yourself. You've got tools there available to help you work out which kind of ads you're going to run on which kind of sites. All right. You can target by the words people are looking for. So if somebody searches for, I tell you how this works. I once got chased around the internet by grow your own tomatoes and things, because my dad had ordered some from a seed catalogue on my website, and then, those keywords that had been used, they thought I was interested in tomatoes. I quite often get followed around by lots of pairs of shoes. Shows more what I'm interested in. So the great thing about display ads is you can tailor them to the person. And then you come up with some great images, beautiful ads, and a good call to action. Calls to action are about, well, what do you want people to do? Buy now, click here, find out more, join us. Okay. So the display tan is a great tool that's going to help you to find the right websites within the Google display network. Okay. So people can list their website, and then you can place your ads on their site. In terms of how to go about it and how to do it well, then first thing to do, and it's the same with all marketing really, is to understand your customers. The more you understand about your customers, you can work out the kinds of websites they might be hanging out on, where they'll be spending their time, what they're interested in. Remarketing is a really effective tool. I get sometimes being followed around the internet on these ads by a pair of shoes I left in a basket. So I've got all the way to the basket and then I've been distracted and haven't quite ordered them. If somebody's using remarketing, then they can retarget people who visited the site previously with specific ads that go, oh, remember these shoes? They go really nicely with this bag. Come back and buy. And of course, me being me, I quite often will. And, it's really important that you test it, try it, do more of what works and do less of what doesn't. So it's a great tool, as I say, if you're not, to get yourself known out there, to get your website seen by people, to get your ads and your topics seen by people who might not be ready to do a search and find you. And then hopefully we influence behavior later on down the funnel. Now, the next thing we're going to touch upon is social media and social media marketing as a digital marketing channel. So social media is really, really increased usage-wise over the last few years. Social media is where people spend their time online. So it makes sense as a business, if we can, excuse me, to hang out where your audience are hanging out. In terms of when to use it, social media you can think of it a bit like in the same sort of way as we've just spoken about display, because you can reach people who don't know about you yet and get your message out to them. But it's also really good at the bottom of the funnel as well for looking after those people who do know about you. So those people who are interested in you, you can nurture those current customers to make them feel good, to make them connect with you, to make them want to come back. Okay, so, excuse me. How are you going to grow your business? So as I say, top and bottom of the sales funnel. First thing it can do is to absolutely help you generate more sales. Excuse me, up to 62% of the Irish population are active on social media every single month. So it's a really good place to connect with people, to tell your story, to reach customers who are like the customers you already have. You can add value to your brand. So that might be by increasing your customer service. You might use a chatbot, so you don't have to be there answering those questions quickly, but customers, if they contact you, get a really quick response. It's a fantastic place to connect. You can have better customer service. You can have the kind of better, bigger company, the bigger company responsiveness in a way that you can manage as a smaller company. And it can absolutely help you improve your marketing. You can learn about your customers. You can learn about what they like, find other people like them. Who are they following? When are they engaging? Who are these people that you're trying to connect with? So, different types of social media work that you can do. First up, just as we had with search, just as we have with a lot of things. There's the organic work you can do, for which there isn't a charge, but the cost will be in times of your time, your resources, your skills. But also, there's a limit to it, on that on most platforms, you will only reach people who already follow you, or actually a proportion of people who already follow you, and any friends or followers that they choose to share out to, a portion of those people as well. So it really can feel like you're doing a lot of work, and then it's not getting seen by a lot of people, which is one of a lot of small businesses I work with. That's one of the pains that they really feel. But if you feel like that's where your audience are and that's where they are going to be responding, then it's worth looking at paid social media, by which you will pay for views, clicks, actions on your posts or on your ads, sponsored posts, boosted posts. These are the kinds of language that mean that it's basically an ad. Your ads can appear in more places, and people don't have to know who you are to see your messaging. You could, it says here we can reach anyone. They don't have to follow you, which is one thing. They do have to be on that platform and active on that platform, which is why for social media, it's so important to understand your audience and choose the platform really well. So, as with all marketing, the more you know about the people you're trying to reach, the better it is. You can identify through demographics, through location. So I like to almost think about, how can I reduce my audience size? Because the more I can reduce it and make it a smaller audience, the more targeted I can be, the more direct I can be with what I'm telling them, what I'm asking them, how the messages I'm crafting for them. So rather than trying to reach everybody, trying to really focus in on a smaller group might naturally limit by the location that they're in, that you're in. Okay. And really choose that social media channel wisely. Different social media channels work for different people, but also for different purposes. If I'm going on a social media to look at pictures of cats and to, see what people have had for their lunch, I don't really want an advert cropping up for industrial widgets, even if I work in the industrial widget industry. So think about the different uses of different platforms, okay, and how you're going to best find that target audience. And then you have to think up things to say to them, engaging content, regular content, which is why it's better to focus in on one group of people on a particular channel and try and target them really closely, rather than trying to reach the whole world. If you want to get involved with social media marketing, and it's a great way to go out and say 60% of that population on there, think about setting yourself a goal. One goal on one platform would be my suggestion, and really understand that audience. It's key for all marketing, really. So I can say it time and time and time again, and then be consistent, then post those regular updates. Okay, so people get used to seeing you. There used to be a saying in the old days, that somebody would have to see your branding 7 times before they'd even notice you. I don't know what those updated numbers with digital are, but people have to see you a lot before they'll even notice you. So don't expect to be able to get answers and things from just that first interaction. Keep at it. All right. Now let's have a brief chat about email. Email is, we say, what is email marketing? Email is fantastic. Email is a kind of direct channel where you can communicate individually, or that's what it should feel like to them, with people who are interested in you. What email marketing is not is spam. It's not junk. And it's a way of permission based. People have to give you their permission for you to use their email addresses. So don't go buying lists. Doesn't work. And it's probably not, on the right side of the rules anyway. But it gives you an amazing opportunity to communicate with people who want to hear from you because they cared enough about you in the first place to trust you with their email details. So you have to respect that trust. Okay. Lots of email providers out there. There are platforms which don't have a charge. There are platforms where you pay for certain features. There's no one best right or wrong. Investigate the features and see whether you would use the things that you would need to pay for. Okay. It's perfectly possible to go a long way in email marketing without having to pay any platform fees at all. Okay. Then you need permission. You need to send somebody an email. You have to have explicit permission. So you can't just scrape all the email addresses everybody's ever given you if they didn't give you permission at the time to email them for marketing purposes. Okay. So how good your email marketing is dependent on the quality of the list you use. So start trying to connect with people, start trying to get permission to stay in touch with people. Okay. Do all the opt-in and keep yourself on the right side of the law. A lot of the email marketing platforms absolutely help you with that. So they help you word the permissions and things that you need to do. And then you have to think of interesting things to say. As I say, hardest part of doing any kind of this marketing nonsense is to think up interesting things to say to people. So keep that content relevant. I love this idea of treating your email subscribers like VIPs. They are interested enough in you. So really love and nurture that relationship with them. Okay. So in terms of, and we've probably covered these, but segmenting the lists, grouping the lists, if you have a simple idea of segmentation is you basically treat different groups of people differently. So with email segmentation, you might have a list of people who have bought from you before and you want to nurture that relationship, and people who've never bought from you before. So you want to persuade them to take that first step. If you can identify those two groups in your list, then you can treat them differently. So when you're creating your list, think about how you're going to do that. Keep it super simple and remember to test send. Test send to different email platforms. You know, use a Gmail account, see how it looks on Gmail. Test send it to a different device, a different mobile platform. How does it look if somebody opens it on mobile versus how they look on a computer? Think about your customers. Think about how it's going to work for them. And then measure it. Measure the open rates. Measure if and when people are clicking through. Measure what they're doing, because you look at your analytics afterwards and it shows I sent this email out, I got this many clicks through, and they took this many actions. Do more of what works and less of what doesn't. And ever so briefly on the hardest part of the whole lot, or for me it is, I'm much more of a data and plans than actual being creative. Content marketing. Now, content comes in lots of different forms. Content isn't just your words. Think about video, think about photographs, but then what's going to be of use to your users to help them take them through the journey to working with you? Is it user stories? Is it testimonials, guides, how-tos, blogs? There's lots of different ways to actually tell your story. Content marketing is about telling the story. So there again, what you do with it, it's about knowing your customer. And not just who they are and what they like, but what they need information-wise at different steps of the journey. So the information needs when somebody doesn't know about you are different to when they've bought your product and they want to have a reminder of how to use it. Map out that journey and work out what kinds of content, what kinds of information, which pieces of the story they need at different points and how it's going to be best accessed for them. And then where you're going to place that content for maximum effect. If it's a how-to guide, I might pop it out on YouTube because loads of people search on YouTube for how to fix. But I might also have that on my own website. So a loyal customer buys the product and how to use it. And then they can see those close together. I've mentioned these pretty much as we've spoken, but content is all about moving people along through the sales. But get to know me, get to know what we're about, take the decision to buy. What information do they need that? Human beings communicate through story. So talk to human beings as human beings. Okay? Then get your content out there, but measure it. Do more of what works, do less of what doesn't. Right, I can see from Glenn that you're being quite easy on him, actually, and he's got no questions that he hasn't been able to answer so far. To be honest, Glenn can answer any of the questions you send him. Test Glenn, send Glenn a question, see about the content we're talking about, see what he's got to say to you. And I will jump into the final portion of our time together, which is how to pull everything together we've just thought about that's whirring around your head and pull it into a simple digital marketing plan. And it really is a lot simpler than you might think. Okay, so 6 steps. And how I do this is I don't necessarily do them in a straight line. I would have a big piece of paper or a wall, or if I was a startup, probably a glass door or something, and I'd have Post-it notes all over it. Okay, big pens, big paper for big ideas. And I would have different groups of things. So I've got, first of all, I want to know what I need to achieve as a business. All right. Then I need to think internally, budget, resources, what can I achieve? Then I want to think about my audience. And I take those 3 things, what I need to achieve as a business, the resources I've got to do it, and the audience I want to reach, to then decide on which of those channels I'm going to pick and choose to use. Okay. Then I plan out my activity, get it done, make sure I'm measuring it. All right. Bonus points if people want to pop into the chat what a SMART objective stands for, a SMART measurement. Let Glenn know. So I'll put this up again for you in a few moments at the end, but I'm going to talk you through the thinking behind each of these sections. So first up, my business's goals and objectives. All right. So what do you as a business need to achieve? So start with, in general, as a business, what do you need to achieve? So here we have Max. Max, my friend, Max is a hairdresser. Okay. And Max's business goals are like so many small businesses to get more customers through the door. They want new customers. They want previous customers to come back. Okay. And they also want more people in the area to know that their business exists. So those are offline goals, really. They need people to know who they are. They need people to come and book new customers, and they need to retain their old customers. Absolute classic business objectives, really. Now, the key then is when you're thinking about these are my business's objectives, okay, how can I use online to support those? Don't have your online objectives completely separate and not tallied into the rest of the business. Your online objectives should absolutely support what you are trying to achieve as a business. Okay, so it might be that to get more sales, I want more people to come to my website, or I want to look for increased online reach and awareness because people don't know about me, so I need people to know who I am. And this is how they kind of tally up. Different objectives are going to help you hit different business goals. Right. So if you needed to make more people aware that you exist, as you say, you need to go out and grab people. Online reach, online awareness is going to support that goal. If I want to get found by more people, it might be I want to increase social media page likes and follows from my customers and my potential customers. So see how those are going to match up. Then think internally, budget, resources, skills that you have. Be really honest here. So for Max doesn't have a website yet. Okay, so first of all, do an audit of what you've got already. Have you got any skills in the business? This is why loads of businesses will then say, who have we got who's young, who can help us out with some of this social media stuff? So Max doesn't have a website yet, as it's too much of an investment right now. And as we've noticed, that immediately starts to think, okay, well, there are things we can do to get found that don't require a website. It's all right. We can take some steps forward. So think about the budget, the skills and the resources that you have. Don't forget to factor in the time to do any of this. So now we're going to think about the audience, okay, and a rounded picture of your audience. So Max knows that his audience are female in the local area because people don't travel that far for a haircut. The most valuable customers are female, over 30 years old, with children, work part-time, most use Facebook. Max gets to talk to these people as they're cutting hair. So they can find out this kind of detail. But how much of this detail can you get for your business? Because from that detail, I start to think, okay, well, where's going to be the best place for Max to go out and achieve their aims? So different marketing channels, as I've hopefully highlighted throughout the session, different marketing channels work for different objectives. Okay, so if people don't know who I am and I need to reach out and find them, increasing that online reach, increasing that online awareness. They don't know who I am, so I can use display. I can appear on other people's websites and they can find me. Fantastic. I might use social media to go out and find them. And I'm really going to make sure my content is telling the story of why we're great. Look at all these great haircuts we've done. Yeah. At the other end, I might want to get people to keep coming back, to be loyal, to book again. So for that, I might again use social media. This is the great haircuts we've done. This is, the lovely customer who's done this, whatever it is, reminding customers, asking them to like and follow you when you send out their beautiful gifts. Building up social media into something that looks after and nurtures those relationships. I might use email marketing because they've heard me, they like me, they've given me their email address. So I'm going to use email marketing to keep in touch. And there again, it's all about what I say, coming up with that great content. When it comes to planning out the activity, this is where we get down into the detail. Okay, so online objectives to reach more people in the local area and get new and returning customers without too much investment. So first thing is you're going to do a Google business profile, okay, which you can use to create a simple website as well. Then Max is going to set up a Facebook page, okay, because Max knows that that's where a lot of their customers are hanging out. So let's get those reviews. Let's post pictures of the haircuts. And to boost that, once you know how well that's doing, you can use Facebook advertising in this case to target other people around, okay? And then measurement, SmartWise. How will you know if you've succeeded? So a SMART measurement is specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, and it's timely or time-bound. So rather than just saying, I want to increase online sales, well, from what to what? By when? So increase online sales by 20% within 3 months. I'd like a little bit there on how you're going to do it, actually. To increase brand awareness, well, how are we going to measure that? We're going to increase brand awareness on Facebook by growing our audience with new people, that's nice and specific, I like that, by 40%. By when? Over the next 3 months. That's our target. Okay, so be specific. So remember Max, who didn't have a website, doesn't know really how to get themselves out there, but wants to reach more people. This is what Max's marketing plan looks like. And this is exactly how I would go about doing it. And it's not a finished task. It's not something you do once and pop in the drawer. And, oh, tick, I've done my marketing plan. This should be about every time you learn something, how does that affect my marketing plan? As you've reached lots of new people, how do you get, your focus might be from going from new people to making sure we're keeping care of those ones we've already got. So this is going to shift and it is going to change as you grow and as your audience grows. Okay. This is just showing you out those steps. Just as a quick recap, we've got to know our business goals, work out what resources we've got to do it, think about our audience, and then decide on one or two. Start with one or two channels and build it from there. Test it, measure it, do more of what works and do less of what doesn't. Now, Glenn's telling me that there aren't any questions for me in the chat. So what I would love it if you could tell me what your next steps are. Okay. We've covered so much today. So your next step might be to go and get a cup of tea. But in terms of what you could do next, a great next place to go would be the new Google for Small Business website. So it's a one-stop shop to find the right tools and resources for your business, from the step-by-step online success guide to the digital toolkit. And there's even some tips on there for dealing with COVID-19. You can learn how to show up on Google, create or improve your website, reach more customers, build loyalty and work from anywhere. Okay, so Glenn will pop a link to that in the chat now, or go to google.com/small business to learn a little bit more about it. And that, my friends, is that. But don't forget, if you're interested in more training, there are ways you can continue learning. We're running more Google Digital Garage webinars in different subjects. So if you want to check out our schedule of upcoming webinar training, see the information on this in the description below. And don't forget to join us next week with County Wexford Chamber and with Dunleary Chamber Dunleary and Rathdown Chamber where we will be talking about the export workshop, which is scale your brand and advertise across borders. Share your experiences on social media. Tell your friends and your family on #DigitalGarage. If you want to carry on learning in your own time, the Google Digital Garage website has more training courses online available to you 24/7. And if you got any feedback from today's session, please complete the feedback form, which is linked down in the description box, and I'm sure Glenn will link us to it as well. When you complete that feedback form, a link will appear and you can download today's content, and you can also, of course, rewatch today's training. So thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you to Wexford Chamber and to Dunleary and Rathdown Chamber. It's been my absolute pleasure to be your host today. Thanks to Glenn behind the scenes. We look forward to welcoming you back to another Google Digital Garage training session sometime soon.